How excited I am to be here and get to know you guys. This is a great opportunity for me, as many of you guys realize, and to be able to work under Coach Fisher and Coach Stoops is just a dream come true. And I'm very excited about getting started and looking forward to spring ball and actually beginning our football process.
Hey DJ, I'm Andrew Carter with the Orlando Sentinel.
Hi Andrew.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Can you kind of take us through the process that got you here?
Well, I was a player at Wyoming when Coach Stoops was playing there, and then was a graduate assistant coach for him at Wyoming, Houston, and Miami, and went on and coached at Texas State, Tulsa, and Rice, and interviewed here after his recommendation for the job with Coach Fisher, and fortunate for me, Coach Fisher offered me a position, and that's how I got here.
Pretty exciting opportunity, I would imagine.
Yeah, to say the least, yeah. Very great opportunity for me to be able to work at such a fine program as Florida State, and with great coaches as well.
Hey Coach, Derek Red with the Palm Beach Post. How much does it help when you have that background with your coordinator and you can walk into this job kind of knowing, I don't know what to expect, but just kind of knowing that you've worked with coaches before, so you know what's going on when you come in?
It helps quite a lot. The scheme I'm familiar with, being with him at 3 different schools, but I'm also very familiar with how he wants things done, how he wants the kids coached, what he expects in certain scenarios and certain situations, and it is going to be very helpful for me to have worked with him at those other spots in that regard.
What's kind of your philosophy for the ends position, in coaching the ends position?
Well, on defense, a lot of people say you're as good as you are on defense as you are at corner and defensive end. And that's because if you can get after the quarterback and you can hold up one-on-one on the edge with the corners, then you got a chance to be successful. So my philosophy is we've got to be great pass rushers. We're going to stop the run. We're going to, do what it takes to execute our assignments, but we're going to really emphasize being excellent pass rushers this spring and through into next year.
You had time to look at what you had coming back?
Well, we have summer, or I should say winter conditioning with the guys 4 days a week, so I get a chance to see them go through agilities and run and do all that. And I've got a decent evaluation of how they move around. I haven't seen a lot of them actually play football besides on video, so I have a pretty good evaluation of what I think they can do athletically for sure.
I know it's limited, but just what are your impressions so far of those guys that you have?
We've got some talent. We've got some guys that have some good size and can change direction and have shown me that they're willing to work and fight through some tough workouts, and I'm looking forward to working with them.
Gene Williams with WarChant.com. How you doing?
Hey, Gene.
I want to ask you, when did you realize you were first a candidate? Did Coach Stoops actually contact you first and say, hey, I want to try to get you in here for an interview? Did Coach Fisher call you first? How did that happen?
Well, Coach Stoops had let me know that he recommended me for an interview, but I didn't know how that process was going to play out. And then Coach Fisher had called me and told me that he was going to interview me, and then we went from there.
What was that interview like? Because Coach Fisher told us he was pretty impressed with you in the interview and hired you or offered you basically on the spot.
The interview was, a lot of questions about defensive end play, obviously, but we also went in depth about a lot of schematic defensive play, and so he wanted to know, in certain scenarios, what's the linebacker's job, what's the corner's job, what's the safety's job, and so I went through all that, what everybody does, and so it was a combination of defensive end play and schematics for the most part.
Coach, Tim Linefelt with the Osceola.
Hey, Tim.
Good to meet you, man.
You too.
Was this even on your radar, a month, 2 months before you got the interview with Coach Fisher? Did coming to Florida State ever even register with you?
You know, this, like I said in the beginning, is a dream come true. You know, I'm very excited to work here. But I've always had a good relationship with Coach Stoops. So, and I've always wanted to work with him again. So it became on my radar when Coach Stoops was named the defensive coordinator here.
Coach Eliot, Chris Nate from WarChant.com. Can you talk about the guys that you have coming in at defensive end, the new incoming freshmen?
Sure. You know, Born Warner, the German, has great size and great speed, which is one thing that we're emphasizing with our guys that are here is to get bigger. We like to have good size there at the end. We're going to play some different techniques at defensive end where they're going to have to be more physical in the run game, so size is going to be a critical issue there. And I think that he's a prototype for that right now, the combination of size and speed that I'm looking for. And right now, he's the only one we've got penciled in to play defensive end. There's some other guys that we've looked at that may be defensive ends, but he's the only one that we've got penciled in to play defensive end.
What's the ideal size for you, do you think?
You know, ideal, we'd like them to be about 6'4", 250, you know, by the time they're playing. But if you've got a guy that's really fast and he's 225, you know, you're not going to not take him or not play him. Or if you've got a guy that's, you know, 270 pounds and maybe a step slower, but he can handle the run game and get off blocks and make plays, you know, you're not going to play him either. But I think the prototype is 6'4", 250 pounds and still be able to run.
I'm Coach Scott Kodak. I work here in the athletics department, Seminoles.com. When you came to Florida State, I know you've been here a few months now. I mean, how's the transition been? I mean, has there been any kind of like pleasant surprise you weren't expecting, like the community around it? I mean, just how's your transition been coming here?
Transition has been great. I mean, everybody's been real welcoming. You know, my wife and I are very excited about the community. We love Tallahassee. We've been in the process of getting involved. My kids are in school. And, you know, we found a home, so we've just moved into a home this week. So it's been outstanding. And the people at Florida State and in the Tallahassee community have just been more than welcoming, like I said, and I'm very excited to be here in that regard as well.
Paul Thomas with Osceola.
Hey,
Good to
Paul.
meet you, Coach.
Nice to meet you.
You're also the recruiting coordinator at Texas, and then there's a lot of guys on the staff that their backgrounds they're known as good recruiters. Just what's it like being a part of a staff that has so many guys that are real involved in recruiting?
It's excellent. Yeah, this is the best recruiting staff I've ever been associated with. Every coach on our staff is really good at recruiting and work really hard at it. And it's kind of been a good gel of recruiters, you know, to be together and to bounce ideas off each other and to help each other with other recruits. It's really good. And like, you know, being a recruiting guy, you know, I was a recruiting coordinator, so that was my thing. It's really good to be on a staff like this.
Talk about that, you know, when you first joined the staff in January, you guys had that month where you guys were all out recruiting.